Energizer Bunny. I actually think he's looked quite assured. I know that everybody's saying, what a disastrous beginning, it's been a mess, Winston's been behaving badly, whatever. But I actually think he's done all right. And I think he's resisting the push from the media, actually, to go, oh, you better tell Winston off and so on. I think the bigger problem is the content, and that coalition agreement is, it's kind of a weird mixture of very high-level stuff like, make the public sector better, and then really detailed stuff like reverse the Therapeutic Medicines Act, which is like, would have regulated natural medicines, or bring back pseudoephedrine, and you go, where did that come from? I think it's going to be difficult. I don't think they yet know what kind of right party they are, right government they are. Are they populists? Are they prudent managers of the status quo, or are they libertarians getting rid of regulation? I think that's still up in the air.
Challenge, isn't it, for them to get a coherent
vision, and I think a coherent program. Yeah.
Ben, I want to come talk to you about Winston, because earlier this year we were talking on the panel and you said that previously people have expected Winston Peters to sort of elevate into this statesman-like sort of persona, but you weren't sure that he was going to do it again this time, and I think we now know the answer to that is no.
Every time Winston Peters has gone into government with a bigger party, New Zealand First has failed to reach the 5% threshold. And then twice that's led to them being dumped out of Parliament entirely. He's always looking to change things up, do things better. I think he's realised that he left it too late in 2017 to 2020 to differentiate himself from the government, and he's just going to be a thorn in the side all the way through, talking directly to his voters, who, which include, not entirely, but include some of the more unusual people in New Zealand with the more unusual priorities. And look, there's a big question, I think we know how he's going to conduct himself as a party leader in the coalition. Much bigger questions about how you are the foreign minister of a small trading-based nation that relies on a multilateral, rules-based global order. If you're also trying to indulge conspiracy theorists about how the World Health Organization is trying to take over the country, and that's going to be a really tough tightrope for him, particularly overseas.
We've seen Winston walk tightropes before, sometimes successfully, sometimes not, Josie. How do you think that this is going to work out for him and, I suppose, the Prime Minister and David Seymour?
I think everybody's falling for the bait at the moment, and that's the thing about Winston. He baits people and they fall for it. And he's been welcomed like the latest COVID variant by the public sector, by the media, and really that's exactly what he wanted. And I think there's a bigger issue there. I mean, of course he's wrong about bribing the media, completely wrong, but there is a problem with a perception of bias. And I say that as someone from the left. I know that people on the right think that the media is biased to the left. That's a problem in a democracy. So he's actually cottoned onto something that I think people feel, and that's really powerful. So, and on the foreign affairs stuff, Ben, I mean, I think what we're seeing is a pitch to America away from China. So he's talking about joining AUKUS Pillar 2. I think that could be a problem for our perception in the Pacific as being independent, because the Pacific like us to be, hedging between China and the US and not picking sides. So if we go with AUKUS Pillar 2, could be a problem in the Pacific.
Yeah, and we've already seen some resistance from former Prime Minister Helen Clark to that too. Henry, I want to talk about David Seymour for a moment, because we've been watching him. He didn't have the greatest campaign ever. He kind of lost his mojo halfway through, but he's bouncing back, it looks like, and there's a real opportunity for him in this government, isn't there? With Winston, the new Prime Minister learning the ropes, there's a real opportunity for act there, isn't there, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he started to sort of play it safe a bit, kind of be a bit conservative during the campaign. I think trying, and a little unsuccessfully, to just keep that ACT vote up and play a low-risk game. Yeah, look, in government, he's had the opportunity to sort of be the adult in the room, as sort of, Winston Peters again now sounds off. I think Josie's totally right. Absolutely lays the bait for the media, and knows that they'll want to report about themselves and diverts the whole discussion. Seymour just relentlessly on message. Here are the wins that we're getting for our voters. Still talking about getting his treaty referendum over the line through a select committee, staying on message, really getting serious about governing. And so there's a big opportunity for him to be seen as a stable partner.
I want want to talk just finally, Josie, about Labour, because Labour's implosion is sort of inevitable, isn't it? We have that right now they're in shock, there's probably a bit of grief, holding on to each other perhaps and sort of steeling themselves for opposition, but it is going to get rough for them, isn't it?
Chris Hipkins looked quite happy and kind of ebullient, actually. And you think about it, he's actually spent more time in opposition than he has in government. So I think he's going to actually rise to the occasion of being an opposition leader. The problem for them, and you look at what they did this week, they re-selected all the same people who had been ministers in the same portfolios. Now, on the one hand, you could say that makes sense because they know those portfolios better than the ministers coming in. On the other hand, it looks like the status quo. It looks like they're doubling down on the people who actually lost them the election.
Yeah,
so that could be a problem.
And we have run out of time, but that is, I suppose, the problem that they're going to run into with Chris Hipkins as well. But Josie Pagani, Ben Thomas, thank you so much for joining us here on our election special.
Well, I hope you're enjoying Newshub Nation's live Christmas party show. Stay with us. We're going to be hunting for some big fiscal holes after the break with Fran O'Sullivan and Kirk Hope.